Hi, everyone. This is Jason coming to you from CIS 2019. With me now is Quinn on Twitter at MidEarth Crypto and of decentralizedamerica.com. Quinn, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to ask you a few questions. My first question is generally the question that I ask most people in the space is, how did you first find crypto?
So I think I got started in 2016-ish. I live in South America, and at the time, remittance was a big issue using Western Union. You know, I'm sending money back and forth between my wife or my mom's family here, and it just became, I sat down one day and realized how much I was actually spending on the cost of their fees, you know, the 10 to 15%, depending if I was sending dollars to dollars or pesos to dollars. And so that's what got me interested. I knew of Bitcoin, I had heard of Bitcoin, but not in the capacity to solve that particular cross-border payment solution issue. And so, yeah, that's what I bought some. I was sending it, and then when the spike started to happen, you know, I was holding Bitcoin and just watching it go up, and then I bought a little bit more. And at 2000, I really kind of loaded in, and that was what helped me out for 2018. I spent all of 2017 thinking I'm just this investing genius, you know, and I ended up getting completely destroyed in January, February of 18 with the alt crash. And so that kind of shifted my course. I was still very, very encouraged and like interested and just enthralled by the technology, but was new. And obviously just gotten burned bad from what I thought was like this incredible run up. But yeah, so I just went into the book space and started learning then.
Nice. So tell me about Decentralized America. What are you doing with that, and is it something that is expanding to other mediums besides just a website?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks. So it's basically like an adoption tour that we're working on here in the States, and we started off by going to baseball games, parks, any major audience arenas where we're gonna have a lot of people that we can go and talk to. They're especially happy people, you know, people that are gonna be walking around. And asked them about Bitcoin, offered them dollars, gift cards, or Bitcoin, and really ran into the problem of finding that people don't know or they don't care enough to actually invest the time to download a wallet. And so we tried to pivot, and that pivot is in the form of Decentralized America, which is going to be an education alliance with Tron, Stellar, and a few other companies where we go around to schools and just pitch, you know, education, basically blockchain solutions and why it matters.
Because that's what you've been doing for the last few days, last few weeks, actually. You've been traveling around to different schools.
It's been exciting, yeah. So Tron's really kind of been the one that spearheaded the initiative to start adoption at the college level. And I was at USC 2 days ago and did a speech there. We have 3 more schools scheduled for the month of October and November. And so Central Florida and Georgia State University. Berkeley we're working on, but they're kind of still funny about Tron. So I think we're going to create a general blockchain pitch that has nothing specific to Tron for that school. And that's fine. You know, I think that the fact that they're invested in the future of blockchain education without it having to come from a Tron lens, you know, is good, because it just shows that they're wanting to progress the space in the community.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about crypto in South America. We hear about Venezuela and we hear about Brazil, people moving towards crypto in those areas. You're in Ecuador, correct?
Ecuador. Yeah, so we're right next to Venezuela, actually.
So how has Ecuador and crypto, how has Ecuador moved towards crypto? Have you noticed any?
None yet. So Bitcoin's technically illegal in Ecuador still. It's completely illegal. It's one of the very few countries around the world that has more strict laws. But in Venezuela, we have a border region that's received 1 million plus migrants in the last year. So we have 1 million Venezuelans that have come over into Ecuador with their Bitcoin. Now, it's not as prominent as society, as like the news wants to make us believe. They're not using Bitcoin at every store. But I think what's encouraging is the fact that it's kind of too late for Venezuela, to be honest. Hyperinflation's already occurred. But in other places where it's just starting, like Argentina, you're seeing mass floods into Bitcoin. Like their local Bitcoin transactions are through the roof, 300% basically. And I think we'll see that continue to grow. So as far as like South America, what's going to have to happen? I think you need a major nation, like one of these leaders of the Latin American countries. So Argentina, Chile, Brazil. We need one of them to make the switch and lead the way for the rest of the countries to follow.
But we've heard recently of some issues in Ecuador related to the IMF. So do you think that that might be something that spurs people to look at crypto?
Maybe, absolutely. So the country just had a revolution, basically a 1 week revolution coup where they stormed the capital city because of oil subsidies, the removal of oil subsidies. So basically the price of gasoline doubled overnight.
Right.
And that was due to the IMF's pressure on the country or on the president.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know if it means that we're ready for Bitcoin yet, but I think the fact that the country pulled together that hard and the indigenous population was able to, peacefully have a resolution that they wanted. It worked. I mean, they stopped everything. All the gas stations were empty and buses, vans, trucks, taxis weren't running. The airports were closed and the whole country shut down for a week. So that the fact that they were able to achieve that and then peacefully get a resolution to move forward, it's encouraging that the IMF isn't going to be able to have that strong arm as much as they might have used to be. So,
right. Well, we're seeing also just government bodies in general flexing their muscle when it comes to finance. Like the letters, I don't know if you read them, but the 2 U.S. senators sending the letters to Visa, MasterCard.
It's like we're in this draconian law right now where innovation is scary for some reason.
I mean, I've read documents that politicians put out before, but this was the first one to me that screamed extortion.
Right.
It was gangster.
Okay.
How they
mafioso.
said it was mafioso.
Yes.
It was basically, that's a nice story you have there. Be ashamed if something happened to it. This is what they did. And they didn't do it in a backroom way.
No,
they put it on the internet for everybody to see.
It's challenging almost, right? Like, this is what's going to happen. We drew the line in the sand.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. Well,
And I think we mentioned the other day, the idea of trying to, Libra is a great idea. I mean, in theory, this idea of a world currency that's connected by the internet is awesome. And Facebook would be the one that could do it if they weren't plagued with all those like histories of leaks and,
Correct.
The data leak it's not even, it was selling the data to Cambridge Analytica. Yeah. So things like that have kind of shown that they aren't in a position to be trusted with that information. But I think we talked about it yesterday. If somebody like Visa or MasterCard would have been the front runner on that project, with the entire alliance behind them and Facebook being one of those members, now we've got a coalition that's really
I wrote an article recently where basically it was that Libra was sunk before it was actually able to get going because of Facebook's reputation.
Yeah.
And the Libra Association should have known that.
And then delegated somebody in a better position. Especially, you could put a charity up front. I don't even know. You could put any American Red Cross could be part of the association, and they'll start taking donations in cryptocurrencies because who knows what. But I could see a lot of little things that would have been a lot better than the bad monster of Facebook being the face.
Right. But like you said, it would work as far as a currency in and of itself. Especially when you think that Facebook has 2.6 billion users. That's more users than most countries have people.
Right. I think there isn't a country that has more than. Is there
right?
one? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So you think that you have potentially that many users of a currency other than a national currency
with a product that's already widely accepted, and generationally accepted too. We don't really have to teach our grandparents that much about Messenger. They're pretty comfortable with it. So the idea of sending currency within the Messenger app isn't too abstract to them or isn't too foreign.
Right.
But you're right; it's reputational.
Well,
so,
optics matter.
Yes, very much so.
And this is what we're learning from the whole Libra fiasco.
So, do you think something like Libra happens in the future?
It will.
Yeah.
And I believe that social media is going to play a huge part in it because of how many people are already using social media platforms. It just can't be one with such a tainted reputation.
It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going.
It's going to keep going. Yeah. It eventually, maybe we'll forgive what Facebook did.
Maybe. I personally, I hope that we move away from Facebook and do something like Facebook. He's decentralized though. And on the blockchain. And that's, I think it'll be that eventually.
Like a site like Minds.com.
Minds is similar. I don't like Minds as much just because we got to find one that we like. The UI is fun, but also there's incentive to put it on the blockchain. And that might be through a monetary reason. I mean, what's the ad revenue for Facebook right now? It's got to be astronomical, right?
Yeah.
What if that ad revenue was divided amongst all the users of the platform with a small percentage being allocated to whoever is running the actual site on the blockchain or running the actual website?
Right. True.
While all the documents, everything's on the blockchain, it's all decentralized, and now all the currency that's created within the system is going back to us as the users. So that's what I like about the future. And and decentralization in it. So, and I hope Tron does that with the dApp space, you know, where we're able to, all these things, these applications, Facebook, Twitter, Ubers, everything, they're on the blockchain in the form of decentralized apps.
Nice. Now, you bring up Tron, which is a very popular platform. It is.
Depends who you ask.
Can you give me a little bit about how you're working with Tron? Like, what's the relationship that you've developed?
Right. It was friendly for the last 6 months just because the dApp Space Association and mine in them. And so through those, I met them at just networking events. And at those networking events, I conveyed the desire to want to be involved in the team. I definitely want to be on the project. But I'm not a technical guy. I don't have a lot to offer technically, and I don't want to move to San Francisco either.
Right.
So it kind of came to the point where I organized a local community event in Atlanta, and it was pitched towards not just blockchain people, but anybody in the entrepreneur space interested in this new technology. So it was mostly non-coiners, and it turned out really well. You know, we had like 100 people come. Tron sponsored the event, and I kind of just put it on and organized it for them. And through that, we've kind of built a relationship towards this education platform.
Nice.
And I think the idea is 2 to 3 events a month. I'm pitching for Uruguay in December to go speak there and on stage, but presenting for the dApp space in Spanish.
Okay.
And so hopefully that goes well. And if that does like it's supposed to, then they want to start the tour in Latin America.
Nice.
And that will be the future, is educating, elite schools in South American countries. Go to Buenos Aires, go to Lima, go to Quito, and really try to make a presence within their communities.
Nice. Well, Quinn, thank you so much for spending the time with me.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
I
Take care.
appreciate it.
Always.
Everyone, you can find Quinn on Twitter at MidEarth Crypto. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.